Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial I will show you how to make the spring colors t-shirt. I'm using this long bloom yarn from Long Yarns. This is an amazing cotton and viscose, and I think viscose is in English, and some linen. Each cake has 100 grams of yarn, and the recommended hook is 3.5 millimeter, but because I noticed that it's almost decay with yarn, I will use a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook or G plus size. You'll need 4 stitch markers, optional if you want to just mark the corners of the yoke, because this t-shirt is worked top down. I'll try to find the end from the middle. And this tutorial is for size small, but you will find on my website the written pattern for sizes up to 5 extra large. We will start with 108 chain stitches. You will end up with a pretty wide neckline. In case you want to make it smaller, you have to subtract multiple of 8 stitches, and for each 8 stitches that you chained less, you will need to add one more row on the yoke. Also, take into consideration that you will need a multiple of 2 stitches for each side of the yoke, meaning front, back, and sleeves. Now the joining, we will do it on one of the raglan lines. So I will just start and chain 1 and make 1 single crochet into the exact first stitch. Okay, and then you will continue with the back panel stitches, which will be 34. So this first single crochet will be the first stitch of one of the increases, but I will show you at the end of the row. So after the first single crochet, which we did into the first stitch, just go ahead and single crochet 34 stitches. Now into the next stitch, so you will have 35 now with the first single crochet, and into the next stitch, which will be the 36th stitch, we will do an increase, 1 single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet into the same stitch. And now we will continue with the sleeve stitches. You can put a stitch marker into the chain 2 space just to know where you need to make the increases for the next round, and you can just move the stitch marker with each round to make it easier to find those chain 2 spaces in which you'll have to increase. And now we will continue with single crochet into the next 18 stitches. And now that we have 18 stitches, we will increase into the next. So 1 single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Place a stitch marker. This is optional, I'm not using them anymore, but I was thinking that it will be easier to show you where to place the stitch markers, and maybe it will be easier for you to find those increase spaces. Now we are on the front panel, and we will single crochet into the next 34 stitches. Okay, now another increase, chain 1, 1 single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. And at this point you should have 18 stitches left, which will be the stitches for the last sleeve, or the second sleeve. I'm placing a stitch marker again, and let's single crochet those final 18 stitches, and then I will show you how to end or close the row with that increase that we still need to make at the end of the row, and then joining. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row, and remember that I told you that the first single crochet is the single crochet of the increase. So now I have to go into the same stitch, but the same loop, the same chain stitch, so not the single crochet, and make a single crochet, and then I will chain 2 because I have to finish the increase, and then join with a slip stitch with the first single crochet. And this will be the joining on the raglan line, so to avoid having that line in the back, because usually you're doing it at the middle of the back or something like that, and it's visible. Now we will have to turn, and you should mark the last stitch of the row, because this one is pretty easy to miss on next rounds. So better than to mark the chain 2 here, we will mark the last stitch. And now we will have to start our round into the chain 2 space. So I'm going there with a slip stitch. And because now we have a cross stitch row, we will start with chain 2 and then a double crochet into the chain 2 space, which will be the first stitch of our increase. And then I will skip the next stitch because we're going to work cross stitches, and make 1 double crochet, and then going back into the stitch that we just skipped and make another double crochet. Now repeat. So skip 1 double crochet next, go back into the skip stitch and make 1 double crochet. This is why I was telling you that you will need a multiple of 2, because this is the needed stitches for this cross stitch. And we will continue like so up to the chain 2 space, next chain 2 space. You should end up with a cross stitch into the last 2 stitches before the chain 2. So I just finished my last cross stitch, and now into the chain 2 I will do the increase, 1 double crochet, chain 2 and 1 double crochet. And now we will continue on each side of the yoke. Now we're working the sleeves, but the procedure will be the same. And with each round you will add 2 stitches on each section of the yoke, or 8 stitches in total, because you are doing those increases. So let's go and see how we will end up the row. Remember to just in each chain 2 space to make that increase, and we will see how to close this row. So remember that I told you to mark the last stitch. So here is my last stitch. I have another one next to it. This means that I need to make another cross stitch to finish this round. So I will go into the last stitch with a double crochet, and then going back and another double crochet. And now we will need to finish the increase, so I'm going into the chain 2 space and make the double crochet, then chain 2 and slip stitch with the first double crochet. Now we will turn. Again, we need to start the round into the chain 2 space. Again, mark the last stitch, at some point you'll see that it will be pretty visible, that last stitch, but because you will know how the round has the end, it will be easier to know what it is, but better to have that stitch marker. So we will start with a single crochet into the 2 chain space and then continue with 1 single crochet in each stitch up to the next 2 chain space, which is over here. I don't have a stitch marker. I'm not working with them. I just wanted to show you how to do it. And we will meet at the end of the row, meaning over here, to see how we close. So we are going to single crochet into the last stitch, then single crochet into the chain 2 space, chain 2, and join with a slip stitch with the first single crochet. And now turn, going with a slip stitch into the chain 2 space, and we will start our next round from over here. So basically these are the 2 rounds that you'll have to repeat at the end of the yoke. This t-shirt has an oversized fit. Remember that you can start with less stitches in multiple of 8 to have a narrow neckline, and of course make as many rounds as you need to reach your desired width of your bust. I work in total 21st round, so 21 rounds, and now I will show you how to separate the sleeves. So we are starting again into the chain 2 space in the same way, so nothing is different here. I'm having a single crochet row, but it can be cross stitch row is the same. So I'm going to make 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space, and then I will continue with 1 single crochet into each stitch until the next 2 chain space. Into the next 2 chain space I will do 1 single crochet and then skip the stitches for the sleeve, going to the next 2 chain space and make 1 single crochet. On bigger sizes you might need to add an repeat chain, so make sure that you add those stitches. And now I will continue with single crochet to the next 2 chain space, sorry. So we just separate one sleeve for now, and we need to separate the second one. So I will continue to single crochet up to the next 2 chain space, make 1 single crochet into the 2 chain space, skip the stitches for the sleeve, and all you need to do is to slip stitch into the first single crochet that you did into the first 2 chain space. And this is how we close this separating round. And now I will chain 2 and turn, and I will start my cross stitch row. So don't work the double crochet into the first stitch. Remember that you need to skip the first stitch. The one with the chain 2 has to be skipped. So you'll have to go into the next stitch with the double crochet and then turn and work the second double crochet of the cross into that first stitch, like this. And we will continue all around with the stitch pattern. And of course that all you need to do is to alternate these 2 rounds, 1 round in single crochet and 1 in cross stitch, until you'll get to the desired length. So I will go to crochet all around my stitches, and here we are with the last stitch, last cross stitch, and I will end the round with a slip stitch into the first double crochet. And now let's chain one and turn. I will keep turning after each round just to have the same look of the stitches, and I will single crochet all around and then keep repeating these 2 rounds until you get the desired length. I did in total 21st rounds, the same as for the yoke, but of course, as you can see on the photos, this is a crop size t-shirt, and if you want to add a bit of length, you just have to work more rows. So this is how the top is looking until now, and this is how it's looking at the end. Let me zoom out a bit just for you to be able to see it better. So this is how it's looking. Of course, I love the yarn, so I still have a few, so I might continue. Now if you want to add sleeves, because this is possible as well, remember that you have to just start from the armpit, but make sure that you keep the multiple of 2 stitches. So basically you will need to do 2 stitches into the corners, which are the 2 chain spaces, so 1 and 1, and then maybe you'll have a little gap at the armpit, or in case you want to just don't have that gap, you might just keep having multiple of 2 stitches. So this was it with the tutorial. I hope you enjoy it. Bye.